Hello, everyone. Good to see you guys again on this wonderful sabbatical, this work sabbatical I'm taking. It's not so bad, actually. It's been so much like camping up here. It's been unreal. It's been quiet. It's been interesting. The last time I was in this house living here, before leaving off for Mineral Wells to find greener pastures, I had a stalker, and I had a whole bunch of other problems. This little psycho guy across the street from me. But that's things of the past. The thing that's going on right now, it took longer than I expected, but I finally got the all of the plumbing hooked back up, all the PVC and hoses and this, that, and the other. Everything's in place. It's all temporary. This house is going to be fully replumbed in PEX, but right now it just has to be usable. But tonight, I have toilet, I have bathtub, all wired up, well, piped up, and ready to go. And I've got water warming up. I've been wanting to get clean, but just the schedule has been dragging on and dragging on and dragging on. Finally got it all together. It's back the way it was before I left out of here. Finding more and more stuff that's been stolen off the house. Found out the backup power line that came in here to this kitchen outlet was also cut off, cut sheer with the wall. And they took that copper as well. I'm finding more and more things as I go along. As I work on things, I'm finding more things that were stolen off this house. And I can tell you right now, I got a good idea who it was. Oh, by the way, his time expired. In the morning, I'm going to Jasper, and I'm going to deal with the problem. I'm going to go down there and file the report, drop off the video, and whatever. The powers that be, whether they want to fuck with them or not, that's their business, but I've just handed them a shit ton of evidence. And I'm going to call it done at that point. The difference is this house is pretty much going under the ownership of my mother. It has been. I've pretty much turned this house over to her. So the guy's not screwing with me. It was different when he was screwing with me. And now he's screwing around with my mom by screwing around with things here. He's making me have to fix things for my mom. Because she doesn't know how to do this, and she doesn't have a lot of money, so I have to come down here and help. Because the other relatives that she has are so inept. You know, she's been wanting them to come out here and rewire this thing and do all this other stuff for over a year so she could get started working on this place and living over here. I think I've done more in 3 days than most other people around here have done in a year's time. But she has a good well. God, how many times did I have to cycle that cistern? When I first turned that thing on, I thought I was done. I started filling a tub, and that water looked like tea, man. So I set up a hose and discharged it out into the yard, and I pulled that cistern down about 5 or 6 times tonight. I just finally finished. I got that water running cold and clear, and I've chlorinated, checked everything. It's all good, all clean. There's going to be some strong bleach water here for probably about 3 days. If it's used that much, I'll probably go ahead and cycle it out till it gets to fresh water because it can't just sit up in there. You know, it's got to be ready to go. We've got separate drinking water, so she can at least get drinks. And she brings her own drinks and puts them in a little fridge back there. But this guy, if he's not the one that did this, I'd be extremely surprised. At least I know he did the big copper, but that little stuff. Well, he might not have done the big copper. I don't know. Crap, I don't know. Anyway, all that crap. Let's deal with it with the police, and I'm gonna wash my hands of this now that I'm finished. I'm gonna call it a job done. It's just, I'm so out of my mind right now, tired. Gonna get cleaned up and call it a night. And I'll tell you something I am glad of. just across the street and a couple of doors down, there's this guy, and he's got a puppy mill. He breeds hounds. He just mass produces hounds. So he's got these two that he keeps, and he just breeds them over and over and over again, you know. And all day and all night they're yeah. All day, all night, all day, all night. I'm so freaking glad I don't live here anymore. They're not as loud as they used to be, but it's a constant noise. And the bad thing about it is, when Weirdo was around here causing me trouble, those dogs were never at peace. You can always tell when he's around because the dogs and all that over there, they start raising hell. And they raise hell constantly until he's gone. No animal likes him, man. Our dogs did not like him. That dog wanted to tear his ass off. What he doesn't know, what he doesn't know is Mom's got a big yellow pit bull mix. And that sucker's got some teeth on him like a bear trap. She's going to release it into this yard when she starts living here and working here. And that sucker comes across here and tries to steal something again. That dog's going to tear his guts out. And more power to him. And here's the thing, the police know he's trespassing over here and fucking around with things, you know, but until he actually did something, there was nothing we could really do. But that's okay, because we served him with the papers. He's not allowed to trespass. That means the ball's in our court. And there's all kinds of interesting things we can do now, especially at night. The state of Texas is great. I've decided if I catch him after all this copper that's been stolen off this house and all the other stuff that's busted up and the well I had to rebuild as a result of all of this stuff, if I happen to catch him in the next day or so while I'm here, I'm going to be here a couple more days. Well, at least till Saturday. I'm going to shoot the bastard. I've already decided. If he's caught here, you know, at night, anywhere on this land at night, if I catch him, if I come across him, especially if I catch him stealing, I'm going to shoot his ass. I've already got 2 clips of bullets back there, and I'm ready to go. And I'm pissed off after what he did to this house. So, anyway, you know, I mean, it's one of those situations where when I kept reporting him to the cops and what he was doing, especially the couple of times I knew he was on the land, you know, they've even said, why the hell didn't you shoot him? So, you know, I'm going to take that. There's a record of all the problems he's caused. This guy is, like, dangerous. He's a little grab ass, but he's also dangerous. He's a meth fiend. And I'm sure he's stealing all this stuff to pay for his habit. But I'm getting tired of him stealing shit off my house. And back when it was me, as like I said, I could exercise some tolerance. As you know, I know how to fix these. Mom doesn't know how to fix this stuff. And he's just going to keep on and keep on. He's got him a target over here. He's going to keep on and keep on. Every time you turn your back or walk away, that little bastard's going to steal some shit, break things, cause trouble. I think part of this was theft, but part of this was sabotage. Criminal mischief. You know you can shoot a person at night for criminal mischief in the state of Texas? Castle Doctrine is a beautiful fucking thing. And, he's going to keep on. He's going to keep on until he almost got us. My wife was scared to death of him, and you could never rest at ease out here because he's one of these ones, the law doesn't seem to matter to him, and the law doesn't seem to be able to keep him in jail for anything. So, I catch him. I'm going to fix it where that problem goes away. I'm going to call a meat wagon out here to pick his ass up. Because I think he's caused us enough trouble. He's costing us thousands of dollars in repair. He's threatened us. We don't feel safe over here. You know, nobody feels safe over here. When my wife was here and I was here, We were always listening and watching because that little bastard would sneak onto this land at night. He would stalk around, he'd look in your windows and shit. Just was making a problem. I had the cops out here constantly trying to deal with him and his sister. That whole family's a bunch of whack jobs. That sister will squat in a place at a moment's notice. As soon as, and I mean literally, as soon as you walk away from a place, if she thinks you're not going to, she'll go and she'll move in there. I had a camper sitting way over there on the, well, not way over there, but about 100 feet. It was on the adjoining lot. She'd set up housekeeping in that damn thing. I didn't know she was in there, man. I'd run her off, and I went in there, got my shotgun. I pumped that old piece of junk house full of holes. I was going to make it Swiss cheese so it couldn't be lived in because we were going to tear it down anyway. And she had gone back in there. I started shooting that place up. I didn't even know she was in there. She's like, "Stop it! Stop it! You're trying to murder me!" Excuse me? You're trespassing. You're on my land. You're trespassing. You've taken up residence in one of my structures that you were clearly told to stay the hell away. We had the cops down here and they had her in the back of the car. But they're delusional people. I was like, I forget what I told her. I says, "I'm going to call the police down here." She goes, "Well, I'm the chief of police." Blah, blah, blah. You know, I don't know. They're so fucked up, you know. Had the cops down here, loaded her in the car, loaded her bags out of that house. Later, when we tore down that house, we found a bunch of drugs in there, so we burnt all that shit. She had a lot of prescription stuff, black market drugs, you know. They're all her brother. Here's the thing, her and her brother, they got an arrest record as long as your arm for everything you can think of. And then their whole family, seems the males in their family can't keep the hands off the little ones, you know, because they got a few of them in there. They're on a sex offender list. They seem to like them about 13, 14 years old. But it's very interesting group of people. But anyway, Mom was telling me that she hasn't seen them up here quite a while. She hadn't seen them around, but I kind of get the impression they're still around because those dogs are raising hell over there, just like how they used to do when he was sneaking around. So I got a feeling he's floating. I got some cameras, some other cameras I'm going to be putting on this house. And every time he fucks with this house, I'm just going to send the video of it to the police and let them handle it. So like I said, they're fixing to get a big old pile of evidence because tomorrow we're going up to Jasper and we're going to file reports and drop off some thumb drives. See, what he didn't realize, and you've heard this in the previous videos, I've had cameras hidden on this property. And even though I'm gone, my vigilance lives on. I've got to watch over my mom now. But my mom, unlike me, is not a person of even temperament. And where I would have let him go, my mother will blow his head off. So it all works out, you know, it all works out. Things in the end are going to come out how they need to be. And either he's going to meet up with a jail cell or he's going to be shot for thieving or trespassing over here. He seems to target us. But that's okay. It's like I said, we've reached the end of our patience with him, and as soon as one of us sees him, he's a dead man. If he isn't off this property. You know, this future is one that doesn't have to be this way. I gave him 3 days to bring my wire back. I put signs on the house and on the road that I'd filmed him. Didn't bring my wire back. So tomorrow, he can answer to a judge. Not that it matters. He's slicker than snot. He seems to be able to get... And every time they let him off, he thinks he's untouchable. Which also tells me he's probably got some family member. I mean, he's got felony stuff that would normally be mandatory. You know, he's got sexual conduct or sexual misconduct with children. He's got assault with a deadly weapon. He's got many, many protective order violations. You know, all this stuff just starting back in I think it was 1994? No, it was further back. I'd have to dig up his record. But I mean, it's like there's at least 20 or 30 different arrests throughout the course of this guy's life that are on there, you know. And some of them you should be doing time. It would normally put a person in prison doing time. But he always seems to slip off. He always seems to get off the hook. Now, what that tells me is he's either got somebody he knows on the inside or he's got somebody in his family with money that's paying to get him off. So, who knows? But every time he gets out of jail, here he comes again, fucking around with people, making problems, screwing with us. He came up here. I guess he thought I videoed him or something on one of my cameras. He came up here pretending to be a cop. And he wanted, he pretended to be like, I think he said he was working for the Texas State Troopers or something like that. And he needed the video off my cameras. And he was going to go get a statement form. I said, yeah, you get me an incident report, I'll do that. And when he left, I called him up there to let him know what was going on, and they saw him come in and get that incident report. I said, oh yeah, he's right there. He just got that report off our desk and he just headed out. I said, well, you need to send a cop because he's pretending to be a cop over here. And he's wanting a video off my cameras. So I'm pretty sure he thought I filmed them. I didn't see anything on any of the cameras that he did back then. But what was really beautiful is when he drove up and he hopped out of his car. Here come Officer Arce, A-R-C-E. She was the county mental health officer at that time. Picked his ass up, sent him on his way. Yep. He spent the better part of a year out of our hair. It was blissful. It was so quiet. The dogs didn't make... That's how I figured out that when those hounds are raising hell over there, that's him. Because they, for no reason at all, did they ever make a sound. But when he showed up back in the neighborhood, those damn things started up again. The other thing he did, and this is very interesting, he had this weird thing about his mail. He thought everybody was trying to steal his mail. Thought everybody was trying to steal his mail. He was flipping out. He was accusing me of taking his packages and stealing his mail. I filmed him. I had a camera pointing out at the mailbox. He just comes bebopping on up there, looks in his, then looks in my wife's, and looks in mine. Yeah, and then bebops on off down the road. So I took that up to the postal carrier, and I showed them what was going on, And he was doing stuff, man, like he was sure that the postal people were holding his mail or unlawfully. So he goes down the road and he starts cutting off and threatening the mail carrier, cuts her off, and interrogates the mail carrier. And the mail carrier, the lady that was carrying the mail, she kind of kept it quiet. And when we went up there, when I went to talk to them about all this, she came out, man. He had scared the shit out of her. So that got mail delivery to his house stopped. He had to come into the post office to get it, apparently. And they said if he ever fucked with anybody else's stuff or threatened another one, he'd never get mail in this town again. And for a long time, let's see, there was another thing happened with him. And that was recorded on camera. I got it somewhere. He was apparently abusing his wife and child. And the wife finally made the call to get the hell out. And her family showed up in the middle of the night, and they loaded her and her kids into their Suburban, and off the road they went. Well, then he showed up a little while later. And this I found out all this time she had a protective order out on him. He wasn't supposed to be with her, but he was kind of keeping her there, quote unquote, barefoot and pregnant. And he was beating on her, apparently, because there's a lot of bodily harm to family member, injury to, this kind of stuff. The domestic stuff was a mile long with him, too. And anyway, so they got out of there in the middle of the night. He comes home, and a police car drives in behind him, and they pick his ass up, and they go off down the road. And, that was the first one I saw of the protective order violation. See, he doesn't know it, but I know people in there, too. I can get all this information. I know all about this son of a bitch. But, there's nothing he's pulling on anybody over here. We all know the score with him. It's good to have friends on the police force. It really is. But anyway, they've basically up there, they got a cell. How they say, the old cliche, we got a cell with his name on it. He just comes in, checks in, closes the. Yeah, that's him. They arrest him so many times. It's weird because when you go up there and they say, well, what's the problem? I say, well, who did it? And you're like, I believe it was Jeremiah Beck. And the cops just go, you know what you're dealing with. Apparently, his whole family has a reputation with him. So, but him and his sister, the sister Bonnie Beck, she has a habit of habitating places she's not supposed to be. And she also has a lot of similar offenses to him. She has the assault with a deadly weapon, what is it called? Deadly conduct, other things like that, and a lot of domestic stuff, child endangerment. Another arrest record is. I tell you, that woman raised a fine couple of kids. They're just upstanding citizens, upstanding citizens. But I'm fixing to start setting it up where I can start throwing a book at them. And hey, if you guys out there know anybody federal, because I believe a lot of the reason he's getting off is he's got family or he's got somebody on the inside that they either keep an eye out for him if they're in there, or somebody up here is getting paid to let him off. Because his family's got money. It's weird that the weird ones always have money. And I'm pretty sure that some money is changing hands to get him off the hook every time he does something. It's weird. I mean, if you want to look it up, go to KJAS.com, go to the arrest reports, and put in Jeremiah Beck in the search. And just look at this long sheet he's got. Impersonating a public servant in Texas, I thought, was a mandatory felony. And somehow he got off. We had video evidence of him coming up here. I had a camera running when that son of a bitch walked up to the porch. And he still managed to get off. So anyway, yeah, if you work for federal, if you know somebody who's with a federal agency who can investigate corrupt governments or police departments, things like that, I believe there is something going on here. I believe there is. I believe it's either money or influence is happening here. Because this little bastard, he thinks he's untouchable. He's immune to anything because he's been let out so many times. It's like a turnstile with this guy going in and out. And it's weird that with the crazy ones, it's like that too. They got a little revolving door for the crazy ones at the jailhouse. They never stay in there. And they cause everybody around them trouble. They cause everybody around them trouble. But anyway, I've gone on long enough about that. My work here is done. All this property is going over to my mother and my father and the other members of my family. And I may not have to do anything because they're all a little trigger happy and they'll happily take care of the problem. I'm just here to fix crap that he breaks. And that's pretty much going to be my capacity from this point on. And, it's up to them to run their security after this. I'll watch the camera streams up there where I'm living. Something bad happens, I can at least call the police, But this property is out of my hands past this point. I mean, I still own it. My name is on the deed. But really, I got this so they would have a place, in later years. They can fix this place up and they have a place to go. And this little shithead, I'm not going to let him ruin it for him. When I'm down here, it's a different thing since it is my property. When I'm down here, I'm always armed. And he's already been recorded as trespassing and causing this trouble. So, the chips are going to fall where they may. It's like I said, I didn't care. I didn't care when it was me. I can put up with that shit. I have some patience. And my wife gives me the rest of my patience. But when you start fucking with my mom, it's gonna change. It's gonna change. I'm gonna hurt that man really, really bad. If I ever catch him, he ain't walking off this land. They'll have to pick his ass up in a wagon and carry him off. That's how I see it, because he's messing with my mom now. He hurts my mother, things are going to get real bad for him. Real bad. But enough posturing. I'm tired, and the water is probably boiling in there, so I can actually draw a bath. And for the next 2 days, I'll still be here watching things, and then whatever happens after that. I told her she needed to get some good cameras because she needs some in a few other places, and they need to start running the security system. I'm running it remotely, but I can't be down here when things happen. I can only call the police. And I forgot this was a live chat, or whatever you want to call it, a live stream. So you guys take it easy. Things in my life are going interestingly here, as you no doubt have noticed through the video. But I'm going to be back and away from this mosquito-infested swamp, back to good old dry Dallas-Fort Worth. And I'm fixing to change my homestead up there here pretty soon. I'm fixing to de-homestead this, and I found me a place I like up there. So it's got more acreage than this. Land is cheap if you know where to go. You go out around mineral wells and cool, and stay away from the little richy places like Granbury and this, that, and the other. You can find some good property and good houses for next to nothing. Way better shape. But I will never make the mistake of what I've done here. It's bad when you get stationed across the street from psychos. So, and mom doesn't seem to think it's going to be a problem. Of course, I know that if he fucks with her too much, she'll just blow his ass away. So she'll actually set up a stand out there and she'll wait for his ass. So, yeah. Anyway, we're all pissed about it. He pulled 100 feet of copper wire out from under the house, broke a whole bunch of plumbing, busted up maybe about $800 worth of well equipment on top of that. There's $100 worth of wire. So all this stuff, got to get all this stuff working again. I'm glad to be done with it. So good night, you guys. I'm going to eat something. And maybe I'll be less rambly.